Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I am Aaron St. Denis at FFMadScientist. The green below me is Jeremy Shulman at FF_Rebel. And down in the red corner, we have SC Romero at the PPR Show. And welcome to Fantasy Football Universe. Is this the first three-person show we did, or did we do one with you and Jesse?
We did. Who was it?
I just felt like my intro took me fucking forever there. I'm going, holy shit, Jeremy, Jesse, see. I'm going, holy fuck, how many people we got on this show today?
I think I did a quarterback together with Jesse.
Oh, it was Penix.
Oh, yeah. Was Caleb Williams? Was that the first one, or Penix?
That was Penix, yeah.
They're all quarterbacks and wide receivers. We're like 30 videos in. We've had one player who's not a quarterback or wide receiver, and it was Brock Bowers. We've not had a running back yet. Eventually, I promise there are running backs in this rookie class, just not good.
Is there? I don't know.
Don't worry about
it. I told my buddy he has the 101, and I said, you know what? You don't need a quarterback. Don't take Marvin Harrison or draft Marvin Harrison and trade him for a lower pick in the first round and an established veteran running back, because he's desperate at running back. But all right, enough of that. No more draft strategy for me. Today, we are here with the exclusive rookie sneak peek of Florida State wide receiver Keon Coleman. We get him a day after Tez Walker. Not sure how PFF had it graded that way. I disagree wholeheartedly. We have this guy who is a probably mid to late first rounder after the guy going at the end of the second. Get your shit together, PFF. Unacceptable. All right, like I said, if you want to head over, you can follow along with my write-up for this one. I believe this one's me. It is on fantasyfootballuniverse.com. I'm going to try and summarize here because apparently I was feeling it. I got a little wordy, which means I probably really like this prospect. You can tell from my write-ups who I really like and who I'm going, oh, this fucking guy sucks. All right, wide receiver out of Florida State from a place in Louisiana I cannot pronounce. He was a four-star recruit out of that Catholic high school. What is that? Opelousas? Anybody?
Yeah, sure.
Opelousas? I don't know.
Oompa Loompa.
Highly recruited in both football and basketball. And I'm not going to lie, his time at Michigan State, I remember him more as a basketball player than a football player. Mm-hmm. But in 2021, as a freshman, Coleman appeared in 10 games for MSU, hauling in 7 catches, 50 yards, and 1 touchdown, splitting time between the two sports. In 2022, he played only football, I believe. Played in 12 games for the Spartans, caught 58 passes, 798 yards, 7 touchdowns, en route to a huge breakout in the Big Ten. So naturally, he said, fuck you, Big Ten, and transferred himself to Florida State as a sophomore. Immediately showed chemistry with Jordan Travis, which didn't lead to an increase in production, but kind of a tough schedule. Similar numbers, but 50 receptions, 658 receiving, and his touchdown numbers did climb all the way up to 11. That's Keon Coleman. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I think is we were just talking before we went on air here, and I didn't realize he was 6'4", 215 pounds. I mean, the way that he moves in and out of cuts and breaks, the way he's just so fluid for that size. We just looked at Devontae Walker, who is a little bit smaller than Coleman is, and he just does not have the same sort of body control and quickness that Coleman has. And so I was just really impressed with, given his size, how good of an all-around talent he is. He reminded me a little bit, just watching him, of what Zay Flowers looks like in and out of routes. And we're talking about a big difference in size there. So
I thought Chris Olave.
Yeah. And still, right, we're talking about a bit. I mean, 215 is pretty serious moving around like that. So, I was just impressed overall with this tape.
I'll skip down to the I'll let you go in a second, SC. while Jeremy, forgot who's on my show today. Skip down to the measurements. We've got 6'4", 89th percentile, 215 pounds, 81st percentile. So he is a big boy, 22 years old. He is a junior. We'll head over to you, SC, if I can remember everyone's names today.
Man, I'm probably out on Coleman. I know a lot of people like him. He's probably a top 5 wide receiver, but the wide receivers at FSU, they look good this year, him and Johnny Wilson. But you mentioned Chris Olave. Chris Olave is a better route runner by a mile than Coleman. Coleman's a little bit stiffer when it comes to it. He does have that strength and the great hands. Like, he's definitely going to go up there and catch that ball. But it is worrisome a little bit to me on what he'll do at that next level. Will be a quarterback that gets that precision, because I don't really see that separation that Coleman could gain. So when it comes to the wide receivers in that rookie room, I really look for that separation gap. And because his route running is a little bit stiffer than what I like in some of these guys, I'm probably out on him. I see him going like 107, 108 in some rookie drafts. I'd probably pass on him around there and get I'd rather have Troy Franklin, to be honest.
Yeah, no, see, I'm not in at that price. I see, okay, I think it's a definitive top 3, but then you could even expand it to like top 5. I think for me, he's in the second tier of receivers, somewhere between 6 and 10, but I think he's the top of that group. But yeah, for someone I think is at best wide receiver 6 or 7 in this group, I'm not paying 107 in a super flex. Like, I think I'm hoping to get him at the start of the second round for me, end of the first. I mean, obviously higher in single QB, but I'm not paying 107 for him. There's, 4 quarterbacks going ahead of him, easily 5 receivers. I think he's a back end of the first round at best.
I think he's the bottom of tier 2, the top of tier 3 for these wide receivers.
He's top of tier 3 for me.
Yeah.
All right, let us head down. I got my scouting report here over at fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Strengths, a great amount of acceleration paired with excellent footwork. Prototypical alpha size, speed, and strength, as Jeremy mentioned. Has great body control and ball skills, especially for his size. Excellent at contested catches. Possesses explosive yak ability and physicality to elude tackles. Alpha mentality. He seemed like he played really physical and athletic. Some of his weaknesses: needs run blocking work, but most wide receivers do. It's not what they do greatest. He lacks technique and effort at times. Lacks crispness in his routes. So while I did say Olave, SC is right. He's not nearly as crisp in the routes. He runs them pretty well, but nowhere near as well. But Olave was kind of hailed as the savant of route running.
Right.
Doesn't possess an excellent long speed and will struggle to be a consistent deep threat. And he's very raw. Like I said, like SC said, needs to refine his route tree, his technique, his overall crispness. What did you guys see as, good and bad for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't have a real problem with the routes he was running. I think Jordan Travis and that FSU offense wasn't as clean as maybe they could have been. I saw a lot of errant throws from Travis. You expect that at the collegiate level. He's not a natural separator, but he is able to gain some separation, especially against I watched put on that LSU tape, I believe, which was I think one of the earlier games in the season, and he acquitted himself well there. But SC, you mentioned Troy Franklin. We talked about Franklin the other day. Franklin didn't look as good in the limited tape that I watched of him as I assumed he would. And for me, I think Coleman is the better bet because he seems a bit more, I guess, sure of himself and in control of his body. That body control at that size for me, even when he's running routes and contested catches, is much more impressive to me than Franklin. And that's one of the things that worries me about Franklin, especially given the fact that, yes, he's got the production Franklin does, but he was in the better offense with a much better QB.
No, I thought the route running was good. It was just there's times where he lacks crispness, where he needs to plant a foot and make a sharp cut. He sometimes rounds lazily for me. And that's the difference between a good route runner and like the Olave route savant, where it's just he's not as sharp as an Olave. So what were you gonna say, SC?
Yeah. No, I mean I agree. I think Franklin just has the better speed and the better
Sure.
separation tactics. But yeah, the strength I think is going towards Coleman. I think when it comes to the contested catch, I'd rather have Coleman go up for it than I would Franklin. But I think Franklin will get the burners on more so times, so he'll be open a lot more. Coleman, though, I mean you mentioned it right there, that yard after the catch. I think he does have that playmaking ability to get it. It's gonna be I don't think he could step into a team like a Carolina. Maybe now that they have a new coach there, could be it, but I don't think he could step in and be the alpha automatically. Like, it's gonna take some polishing around the edges for him.
Sure.
His best quality for me, I guess is related to his size. He had like a Debo like physicality in yak situations where he just turns into a tank and runs people over. So that's what I liked best about him. Close it out here with the pre-draft analysis of expected draft capital, mid to late first. I think it's probably closer to late, like 20 to 30. Ideal landing spot I have as the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm expecting Mike Evans to move on. Godwin's getting up there in age. I think he would pair nicely with Trey Palmer. The consensus seems to have him going anywhere between as high as 15 to Indy. There's a whole lot of 23 to Houston. I don't really know if I love that fit. Some KC. I went with Tampa, but there's kind of a dead zone I find in the first round where the first 10 teams all need a receiver. Then we go through 10 teams who don't need a receiver, and then another 10 teams who need a receiver. So I think he goes somewhere in the 20s. I thought Tampa, assuming they move on from Mike Evans. Where do you guys see him going, and what team do you think is a good fit? You want to go first, SC?
Yeah, I think Cowboys makes a good sense for him. Opposite CD, Brandon Cooks, Roy, he looked okay, but didn't really come out the way they wanted him to. I think Brandon Cooks is also getting older. Still Michael Gallup there, but Michael Gallup's also someone that's just been meh. So I think just being opposite of that and getting that physical receiver, and you have someone that's a fluid route runner in CD Lamb to be opposite. So I think that could be a huge weapon for them.
Where
And
do they
he's
pick? 20? I'm scrolling.
24. So a
20.
couple picks
Yeah,
before Tampa.
you're right. It's 24. Yeah, and Tampa's 26. How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, Houston is interesting. I think there's a way that they can, create some interesting spacing in the offense, especially if Schultz doesn't come back. He was really kind of taking up the middle of the field there for them. But
That's the
yeah,
consensus right now. Sorry to interrupt. On NFL mock draft database, 23 to Houston's the consensus. So.
Yeah, I get that. I think someone like a team like the Raiders. I think there's it's going to be wide open. I don't expect Adams to stay. They're a little high to probably take Coleman at that spot. I think it's 13. But
13. Yeah.
He kind of screams Pittsburgh Steelers to me, just in his play style. It'd be interesting to pair him with Pickens. I think. I assume Johnson is moving on, or maybe just has the year left. So the three of them, or even just the two of them with Pickens, would be interesting. They do, however, still need someone to get them the ball.
That they do. All right. Well, that concludes the rookie sneak peek for Florida State wide receiver Keon Coleman. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com for the full write-up of it, or check back tomorrow for the next video in our series. For Aaron, Jeremy, and SC, thank you all for tuning in. Take care and have a great day.